What's up, everybody? My name is Paulo Rubio. Welcome to another episode of the FMA Dumpster Fire podcast. Today is Sunday, June 6th. First of all, I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to thank you for your support. Super appreciate that, you guys. Super appreciate that. Thank you for every bit of engagement that you provide to me in this channel. Thank you for helping me build up this community. I know sometimes some of the things we say face a little bit of resistance. And I want to thank you for holding strong and for staying true. A lot of the resistance comes from fear and insecurity. So whenever we say things in this podcast that some people don't agree with, hold strong, you guys. It's really important. It's really important. If we're going to turn the tide as to the direction that FMA is headed, I need your help. So for those of you guys who have already subscribed, hit that like button. I just want to say thank you very much. People from all around the world, man, are doing this. So I appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about something that, it's nothing new. It's stuff that a lot of us already really know, but it's just so pervasive in Filipino martial arts. This whole idea that, I've heard really good Filipino martial arts grandmasters say dumb shit, man. Like, if you get disarmed, your FMA sucks. If you drop your stick, your FMA sucks. If you hit but you get hit, your FMA sucks. This whole idea that we ought to be already in this whole idea that being untouchable is an actual destination in an FMA journey is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It spits in the face of really, logic. Where this doesn't happen? It doesn't happen in arenas where people actually fight, where people actually spar. And I want people to be really mindful about the correlation that I make between combat sports and something like knife fighting. I understand that there's a difference, but where the bridge really is valuable is in the training methodologies, in the pressure testing, and in the competition. Right. The greatest fighters in combat sports won't ever dare to say, I won't get hit, I won't get kicked, this won't happen. They may say it. I don't think they actually believe it. They may say it for, I guess, the same reasons that FMA grandmasters and masters say it, right? To get an audience, to hype up, the fight, the event, the school. But when you see masters in FMA who never show failure, who don't show defenses failing, who don't show themselves, dropping their own stick, their knife, when they don't show sparring, whether it's, point sparring, competitive sparring, when you begin to identify that, holy crap, these FMA masters and these grandmasters are talking a whole lot of crap that they're not really backing up with any sort of proof, and then maybe you go to a training session and you're like, wow, don't ignore those red flags, you guys. Don't ignore those red flags. The thing is, the irony of it is, for me, is that they make these propositions that make you seek perfection, but they themselves don't really put themselves into environments, conditions, or situations that actually prove those things. Because if they did, it would be much, much easier to identify that they're lying to you. Look, even the Grand Tuhana Pikiti Tersha Leo Gahe still spars. You know what I mean? You see dudes like Tuhan Philip Jelena still spars. You find somebody like Tuhan Jared Wihungi, who is a SWAT operator. He's been a cop for a long time, who teaches the world's special forces units how to do this stuff. He makes mistakes. I sparred him, you guys, and I hit him. Hit him a few times. He hit me more. But it was a good match, you know? It was a decent match. And then when I asked 200, hey, man, yo, is it okay if I air this? Without hesitation, he's like, yeah, people need to see this stuff. People need to see that, you know, I'm not infallible. And it doesn't invalidate a technique, you guys. I think as observers, we tend to jump to conclusions really, really fast. Right? When we observe something fail, the conclusion is that thing doesn't work. When we see a technique or a tactic produce less than favorable outcomes, we say, oh, that tactic is improbable, or that technique doesn't work. And then what you have is people on the other side of the coin whose techniques work each and every time with beauty and absolute perfection. And we observe and we say, that's the system I'm going to study, the one that doesn't fail. Well, I'm saying that is the absolutely wrong course of action. It's the wrong course of action to choose an FMA system based on our observations on YouTube or whatever marketing material they've got, and we don't see it failing. Because what that means is that they aren't pushing those concepts, those tactics, and those techniques to their points of failure. We all know everything has a counter. We know this. And so when somebody proposes that something is uncounterable, and to be honest, the Grand Tuhana Pikiti Tersha often says things like, oh, I'm going to teach you something with no counter. That's bullshit. And I'll tell him that to his face, because while he says he's got techniques that are uncounterable, he also says everything has a counter. So you just be mindful of what we're digesting from these masters, these gurus, these Tuhans, these Datus. Because it's not hard to identify inconsistencies. And the thing is, because we hold these people to such a high level of respect, we put them up on a pedestal. The more people that do that, the less likely it is that these things are going to be questioned in a real way. They do get questioned. They do get questioned. Because I've been around people who love the crap out of their masters and grandmasters, and then they'll talk to me in private under a few drinks and go, yeah, I know, Paulo, I know. So they choose, for one reason or another, to be blinded by the facts that are right in their face. And now I'm not dissing those dudes. They have their reasons. Maybe they just really love the environment. They love the people. And they don't want to be exiled from that. But I'm just saying, man. You know, my buddy Icy Mike Pasesco, actually inspired this podcast. And he was talking about how he gets a lot more mileage from his social media game. He gets more engagement. You know, more comments, more likes, more shares when he shows his failures. Now, he does get haters too, right? When people don't like you, they just wait. They're just waiting for you to fail. You guys understand this, right? You guys know this. You guys know that there are people who follow me just to kind of wait for me to say some dumb shit or to point out a moment in my performance to show to their people, look, this guy sucks. He tried to do this move and he got his face knocked in. I totally know that. I know people watch this podcast just to hit the thumbs down button. You know, I get that. But, you know, if your purpose is to grow, if your purpose is to propagate the Filipino martial arts, then every bit of attention, every bit of engagement actually works towards strengthening your core, fortifying your community. And this is why I think this channel is growing really, really fast, right? Because we do have haters here, guys. We do have people who don't believe what we believe. That, perfection and mastery doesn't really exist. It may exist within a moment of time, but just like fights, just like violent encounters, to paraphrase my friend Todd Fossey, they are chaotic and they're unrepeatable. So it would serve us well to try our best to put ourselves in conditions and circumstances that are unrepeatable, like sparring. Right? I know in certain moments of compartmentalized sparring, there may be elements that are repeatable, but for the most part, no two sparring matches are exactly alike. And you shouldn't take what worked in one and make the assumption that it's definitely going to work in the next fight. But you go ahead and you try. Okay, so when Filipino martial arts grandmasters or whatever make this ridiculous proposition that your FMA sucks if you drop your stick. If you get disarmed, you're not good at FMA. They're full of shit. They're full of shit. That is the bottom line. Let me carve out a path where they're not full of shit, though. Okay, let me just do this for a second. It's possible that they may be trying to instill a path instead of a destination to you. To seek a path where you drop your stick less often or you get disarmed less often. I mean, that could be a thing. But such things could be... There's another path to it, It's like we're being treated like children almost. So anyway, that's my point. No matter how, and going back to what Mike says, he goes, no matter how good of a basketball team you may have, the other team is still going to score. The basketball game is not going to end with a score of 100-0. And the same thing can be said for sparring and Filipino martial arts. It doesn't mean that you suck if you get disarmed. It doesn't mean that you suck if you hit and then you get hit back. It doesn't. It means you're trying, and it actually means you're getting better. So for anyone who proposes these things with such an absolute certainty, and, for now, I'm not going to name any names, but you can see them. You can see them say this dumb shit on YouTube and Facebook and on their Instagram feeds. But I want to end this on a positive note, you guys. I want to end this on a positive note, all right? Just because they say these illogical things, just because they're flawed, it doesn't mean they can't teach you nothing. They can serve their value. One of the stories that I like to refer to, if you guys can bear with me for just a few more minutes here. There's a guy from the Philippines who I know to be, to have had a history of really understanding by way of experience how the knife works and how the gun works. Okay, now he trained me and he wanted to show me some knife stuff. First of all, the knife stuff was incredibly simple. Really, really simple shit. So simple that you didn't need to perfect the technique. You just needed to test and challenge it, right? Like a jab. You can learn a jab inside of 3 to 5 minutes. You could spend a lifetime trying to perfect the perfect jab in isolation. But unless you step into a ring with a boxer who's trying to punch you back, you really have no clue how good your jab is. So going back to my story about this well-experienced dude who taught me some knife things that were so simple that to focus on technique would have been a complete waste of time. Right? I'm not going to stand out there and make sure that my hack is perfectly at a certain angular degree and that my footwork is perfect. It's ridiculous. What you need to do with simple techniques isn't to try to master its form, but to try to challenge it under as many different conditions, challenging competitive, non-collaborative conditions as possible. That's how you develop functionality for that simple technique. Everyone says keep it simple, but it's like the path to making simple better and more reliable seems to be something that a lot of people try to avoid because it shows our mistakes. So back to this story, back to this well-experienced, really a bad man who taught me some knife stuff, who was really, really simple. Y'all could learn it. You guys could learn the simple techniques in a day and then spend a lifetime trying to practice it. So this guy was amazing to me. Came here from the Philippines, taught me some stuff, and then he said, oh, also, in our system, we all have the ability to get up off the ground under 14 seconds. I'm like, wow, that's a specific number. What do you mean? He goes, well, whenever we're grounded, if somebody tries to take us down and we fall or whatever, under any condition, we can get up inside of 14 seconds. I'm like, damn, this dude just taught me some amazing, amazing knife work. And then he makes his claim, his ridiculous claim. So I'm like, what do I do with this? So I said, hey, look, are you willing to challenge this? Because he isn't in the Philippines anymore. He isn't around his small circle anymore. So respectfully, I said, hey, I know a couple of black belts in jiu-jitsu. You think you can get up from a grounded position with them in under 14 seconds? And he's like, yeah. Now remember, at this point, I really love this guy. He's still a friend of mine. And I think his knife work is still absolutely incredible. But he made this claim. And it rocked my world. But back to the moment. Back to the story. So I was like, hey, look. I'm not even a white belt in jiu-jitsu. But, I dabble in it. You think you can get up if I got you in, side control? He's like, yeah, no problem. Well, cool. I got him in side control. My side control game is weak, guys. It's nothing to write home about. I know some basics, right? No, I know enough. I think I have some good natural sensitivity as well. So we started to roll. I got him in side control. We were on the grass. And let me tell you, the dude gassed out and he was still on the ground. He gassed out. He tapped out. No more. I can't get up in under 14 seconds against me. Yet his conviction, his belief that this was absolutely true, I broke his heart. I could see it in his face. And I didn't feel good about this. But later on I did. Because this lie that he believed for years and years and years, and within his smaller circle of influence, they all believe this. I don't think this guy's a dumb guy. I don't think he's unintelligent. He just believed. And when you believe something this much and you're around people who want to support the truth in that belief, then you manifest it. But when you come across somebody who doesn't believe it in the same way that you do, but is still willing to help you come to that understanding, I think that can be a good thing. In any case, what I was trying to get back to here is that, yeah, a lot of grandmasters and a lot of these dudes say a lot of dumb shit in FMA and make a lot of false promises and proclaim that your FMA sucks if you get disarmed, or your FMA sucks if you drop your stick, or if you hit and then they hit you back. It doesn't mean that they're complete garbage. Okay? And so in the past, I may have proposed that, if anyone comes across like this, you leave them right away. That's easier said than done, especially if you're deep into that relationship already. Certainly if you're new, fuck no, find somebody better, especially if you've got an option. But I understand that if you have a relationship that's been built already, and a love and a trust and a respect, it's harder to leave a system. But what you can always do is cross-train. What you can always do is to take your FMA under your own hands, to take accountability for your own progress, and not rely so much on a third party observer that you pay for your validation. Because as much as possible, they're going to want to try to keep you within their ecosystem and make you feel like you're never good enough so that they can perpetuate the monthly checks. I'm not saying that's always the case, but it's always an incentive. All right. So I'm not saying leave them. I'm just saying if you can't leave, take accountability for your own progress and quit, looking at daddy to tell you that he's proud of you. Be your own man for a little bit. I know that's hard for some martial artists to hear. I know I'm probably going to get some hate. Luckily, it's FMA, so the hate's going to be gossip behind smaller circles and all that stuff. Can't stand that stuff, but everyone does it. Who cares? All right, guys, that's the point. It took me about 20 minutes to make it. I hope you guys can feel me. I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. I'm not just trying to stir shit for the sake of stirring shit. I think we're making progress as a community, so I thank you guys very much for that. And even where we disagree, or whether we disagree on big points or nuances, or even just I've heard people just say, I just don't like the way you say things, Paulo. I get that. I'm sort of in between East and West. I was born in the East, but I spent the formative years of my journey into adulthood here in Canada without the intervention of my elders telling me I shouldn't be doing this or that for one reason or another. I really had to formulate and carve out my own path, and there's a value to that. Although I think the middle ground is good too. So, thank you again. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, the thumbs up really helps me out, man, because YouTube lets YouTube know that you're a Filipino martial artist and that this is a Filipino martial arts channel, and that they're going to try to feed my content to other Filipino martial artists, and we grow as a community. So if you're down with community growth, whether or not we agree or disagree or somewhere in between, that like button really helps. Comments really help. Shares help a lot. And your subscription is so valuable to me. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. Hey, I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. Yeah, it's beautiful outside here in Toronto. And I've already been to the dog park. Might go hit up the river. But go enjoy. Bring your sticks. Swing it a little bit. And, if somebody gives you a look of curiosity, be welcoming and be like, hey, you want to see what I'm doing? I'm doing some Filipino martial arts. And then, just by enjoying your art, you get an opportunity to spread it. That's a cool way to end a podcast. Super positive. Thank you guys very much for your time. My name is Paulo Rubio, a.k.a. GN. Until next time, this has been another episode of the FMA Dumpster Fire Podcast. Thank you guys. Be blessed. Peace out.